Hi, guys. My name is McKaylin, and I just wanted to go over a few things that you may have missed if you were unable to attend our virtual tutorial. The first thing I wanted to talk about was how you will know which labs you're doing for the week. So, Dr. B will be sending you a sheet every week that will tell you which exercises you're doing, which chapter they're in, and which pages they're on. So, whenever he sends you that, you're going to want to go into your Sniffy lab book and it will have a bit of background information before it gets to the exercises. So you're going to want to read all of that because parts of that will need to be incorporated into your lab report, and parts of that are really important to read so that you know what exactly is going on in the lab. It helps you to analyze what Sniffy is doing. And additionally, each exercise that you are assigned will have very, very clear instructions within the lab book. It tells you everything from opening the file to making selections within the window to saving it after you're finished. And it also will often have pictures that will help you to just double check that you have made all the correct selections. And another really important thing to note about the lab book is that it will often help you to analyze the results. It will talk about what Sniffy has done so that it takes a lot of the guesswork out of creating the lab report out of especially for the results section. So if you haven't done so already, you're going to want to get the Sniffy lab book. It's very important. And secondly, I wanted to talk about the software. So as you can see here, Sniffy is in an operant chamber. He's got a bar, he's got a food hopper, there's an electrical grid on the floor, he's got a water spout, a light source, he's got a speaker, and he's just doing, a lot of things that rats do. So, one thing that the book will tell you in every exercise is what to name this file. And I would highly recommend that you name it exactly what the book tells you to name it because sometimes there will be later labs that require you to open old files. So if you forget what you named them, it would be a lot harder to find them when you need them. So if you forget, but you named it after what Sniffy told you, you can just look in your lab book and you know what it should be called. So, how you're going to save it is you're going to go to File, Save As, and then we can just call it, Sniffy 4 as an example. We're going to save. All right. So, usually one of the first steps in each of the exercises is to choose either to design a classical conditioning experiment or an operant conditioning experiment. So you just click whichever one it tells you. So for example, we're going to click a classical conditioning experiment and it pulls up this window. So right here, we've got the interval between trials, and it automatically sets it to 5, but you can use these arrows to raise it. You can type in a number. I'm just going to keep it at 5. And then this is how many times you're going to present each trial type. So you can use your arrows. You can type it in. For example, we're going to say 10 times. And then some labs will require you to do different stages. So you can create a new stage. So you can see we added one up here. And, it brings up the exact same thing, all the same checks. So over here, you've got where you can set your conditional and your unconditional stimuli. So right here is a conditional stimuli. So you can see it is set to a medium intensity tone, but you can change it to something else simply by clicking the boxes. I'm going to keep it on a medium intensity tone. And then over here is your unconditional stimuli. So right here you can see it's set to a medium intensity shock, and it's just the same thing. You can click the different boxes. I'm going to keep it at medium. And then say, I'm going to delete stage 3. And then say, you want to make a different stage. but you want to use a high intensity light. You can do that, and then maybe a high intensity shock too. So now we've got two different stages, and down here you can see you've got a couple really important selections. So you can see that this would take quite a while to run through. It's going to take over an hour to get through this experiment if you watch it in real time. But down here, if you isolate Sniffy, it runs through the lab a lot faster. And so I would highly recommend that you watch Sniffy at least a couple of times so that you have a better idea of what he's doing. But then, you might want to have the lab go through a little bit faster after you get a pretty good understanding of what's going on. So you're just going to click these boxes, make sure they're checked. But if you start running the lab and you forget to check the boxes, I'm going to show you what to do if that happens. So to start the experiment, you're just going to click run, and you can see Sniffy's walking around his cage. The experiment has started. But we want to speed it up. So we're going to go to experiment. We're going to isolate Sniffy. And you can see it's running through everything a lot faster. And I'm just going to let it run through so you can see what is going on and how fast it runs through it this way. So you can see Sniffy's been conditioned. It's run through it. We've got our data. So one thing that you're going to need to incorporate into your lab report specifically from the software is the graphs. You can see we've already got a couple graphs down here, but we're going to need a few more. And you can find all the graphs you'll need for every experiment in Windows. So we can pull a cumulative record, and this just shows what happened to Sniffy and when it happened. So each of these lines here mark off 5 minutes. So you can see here a tone was presented, so on and so forth. So you can read all of that. And then we could also get, for example, we could get the sensitivity and fear graph. So there's plenty of graphs for you to look at. And how you're going to get these is you can just copy and paste them from Sniffy onto your lab report. Or if you have trouble with that, you could screenshot just the graph and you could import that image onto your lab report. So just whatever's easier for you. If you have any problems with getting these graphs into your report, don't hesitate to contact me. I believe my email address is in the syllabus. So you can contact me anytime and I will help you just as soon as I see it. And then one more thing I wanted to talk about was the lab report. So it's going to be APA formatted and you're just going to email it to me by the due date. And I believe you should have a copy of a sample lab report. So that is there to help you to see what should be in each section, kind of what we expect. And one thing I want to note is I do have a copy of it, so please don't, try to copy and paste that lab report and submit it as your own. I will know if you did that, and so just use it as a guide. Use it as a helpful tool. Don't let it hurt you by plagiarizing. So that's all I really had to say. And if you need anything throughout the semester, don't hesitate to contact me, and I will be happy to help.